If anyone has any questions for Z, please raise your hand. We will start with Tyler.
Hey, Shivante, how are you doing today?
What's up, Tyler? How are you?
I'm doing good. So I have a very serious question to ask you.
How serious?
What goes into being the designated high five person at the end of the starting lineup?
I think it just depends on who the hype is, who can get everybody, prepared and get them excited for the game. And I guess I'm that person to do that. So now that, since Tasha started, it would be me or her that will be doing it. But I think the person that could get, our teammates the hype is before the game.
And then what goes into making those high fives and making those hype moments for each individual player? I think it was 2 games ago, you and Tosh had some dance moves you were throwing out with each other. But what goes into the planning?
I think we just try to outdo the other team. Honestly, it's like competition everywhere. I think we try to have the best handshakes, dance routines, better than the other team. So for us, I think that's like the key. We still in competition mode.
Do you plan it at practice in the locker room?
Sometimes we plan it right before the game, honestly, like what you want to do. And then we're like, I bet. Like it's literally based on the person, whoever's starting. We had crazy starting lineups this year. So depending on whoever is starting, that's how we plan it out.
Gotcha. They told me to be short, so thank you, Shivante.
Thank you.
Jen.
Dang, Tyler, I don't know how I can follow that up. Hey, Shivante, how's it going?
Hey, Jen, how are you?
I'm good. I just have 2 quick questions for you. First off, I know you've been in the league for a minute, but is there anything new you feel like you've learned or taken away from just the whole experience this season with all the injuries and roster shuffles and you guys, going through ups and downs and having to kind of weather and lead through all of that?
Honestly, for me, this isn't new. I think my time in Indiana, we was dealing with some of the same similar injuries. I think 2 years back to back, we started the season like 1-8, 1-9, battled through injuries. I must say this probably has been a stressful season in a way, dealing with COVID. And then along with our injuries, the team that we have, we're capable of our record that's showing right now. Because of these injuries, it's kind of slowed us down a little bit. But I think for the most part, I've seen it all. I've been in these, situations here before. I think the best part about us is we're just remaining to stay together, keep a positive attitude, and just take it one game at a time.
And my second question was actually about Indiana, because I do remember you telling me about, those seasons where you had injuries and got up to slow starts. Is that something that you mostly think about for yourself, or is that something you've brought up with the team as well as look, here's an example of this sort of thing and how we got through it?
I think a little bit of both. I think it's always helpful to have somebody or multiple people who's been in, similar situations, because you got to figure it out. Every day is something new. Every day something may occur. But I think what's great about our team, like I said before, is, we've all been in the league for quite a time. And I know all of us has been on different teams, except some of them that's been here with Washington for a minute. So I think just having people go through multiple things and just understand that adversity builds character. And honestly, we can't let this adversity stop us from what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go. I think that's why you constantly see us smiling, dancing, being happy. I think the worst thing you can do is try to be negative and, let this affect you in any way, because your competition is looking at it. And for me, if I see somebody defeated already, it's just like, keep on going and kill them, in my opinion. But, for us, I think just staying in the high spirits that we've been doing, taking it one game at a time and just keeping our head high, because some of these things is out of our control. Injuries is a part of the game. So I think for me and my teammates who's been through similar situations, I think for us, it's just remaining positive and, staying high, keeping our heads high and not try to get too low with what's going on.
Thank you, and safe travels to Minnesota.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. See you, Tyler.
Thanks, Z.
Thank you.
Jen?
Hey, Eric, how's it going?
Hey Jen, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How does the team look after, a day off and a light day yesterday, and how was practice today?
Today was pretty good. We got to have a couple guys come in and practice today, so it's good to have Tina back in the mix as well. So it's not we're not at the point of the season where we're having like all out practices much anymore, but good get a couple days mentally to get prepared as well now for a tough 2-game trip.
We heard yesterday that Tina would travel and Elena probably wouldn't. Is that still anything changed there, or is that still accurate?
That is still accurate.
Great. And then just wanted to ask you a little bit about Tosh. I've kind of been making the rounds and asking some other folks as well, but how have you seen her develop this year, whether it's, basketball skills that she's gotten better at specifically, or even just as a leader with this kind of new and like kind of a hodgepodge of players getting put together and leading that group?
Yeah, she's had more on her shoulders for sure. I'm even thinking just on court, given we've had kind of a changing group, almost seems like from game to game. Obviously, she had her own spell when she was out as well, but there's a bigger burden on her and Ariel as playmakers this year, and so watching her develop, reading against different types of coverages that are maybe more geared towards her now than there was before. I've seen some improvements. We were talking about it yesterday of stuff like making plays going to her left hand. She doesn't have the luxury maybe to get everything where in the spot she wants it on the court. So she's going to have to adapt and play against different types of coverages. And I think that's kind of the final step in her growth offensively, is just to be able to recognize quickly, read. She's always been a good passer. And that the more she makes open shots, the easier the game gets for her, as we saw against Dallas.
And I know she's always been a vocal leader since you drafted her, really. But when would you say she really, started being someone who like led others? And, I assume as a rookie, she wasn't, the leader that she is today. So when did that transition kind of happen in your opinion?
I think that she kind of took the current role she has on our team, and not specifically about but as the starting point guard partway through the 2018 season, and kind of hasn't looked back from there. Finished that season really strong, and then I think found, as you're talking about like vocal leadership, found her voice more towards the end of 2019, certainly the back half of that season, and has carried that on. I think she's felt pressure to be more into that role this year because we've had so many other people out. We haven't had the kind of the veteran group that maybe we expected. So I think it would be nice if maybe she didn't have to carry that weight on her all the time. But luckily she's up to the challenge.
Last thing for me on Tosh, she's been playing great lately, but where do you see where you would like her to continue to develop, whether that's immediately or over the off season?
Yeah, I think if you asked her, it'd be the same thing, but just the consistency of her shooting. We've talked a lot about getting to the rim more, and I think she's made big strides in that. And kind of what I touched on at the start, like, can you beat every type of coverage that's thrown your way, with either hand? Can you communicate quickly to teammates what you need from them to make the game easier on yourself? And a lot of, she has the challenge of a lot of people try to go under on her or switch and just stay in front of her. And can she play against bigs that are switching, and can she make people pay when they go under? And you saw it kind of all come together there in that second half against Dallas, where she made threes, stopping behind. She attacked the rim against the switch. So every night calls for something different. I think that's part of the growth, is just being like, what's needed tonight? What part of my game do I tap into, depending on how we're being played?
And then very last thing, and then I'll share with Tyler. But I think I've asked you this before, but given how well Shatori played the other night, I wanted to ask again, just, your thoughts on like what has been the biggest way that she has been a difference maker since she's come, and what have you seen from her this season?
I think the thing that I noticed that every day she's coming in talking about defensively, what can she do defensively, how to be aggressive and disrupt defensively. And I think she has a greater capacity now, maybe a couple of years later, to kind of either let mistakes go or let things that bother her to go, a bad call or coach getting on her or whatever it is, to refocus and get back to what's important. And what she has basically said, before the game, that these are the things I got to do. She has a greater capacity to get back to those quickly. Then offensively, like we've had a couple cues that we've worked on her with, mostly about being ready to score, being ready to shoot and staying aggressive. And I thought she came in and tried to do them, but sometimes it takes a little catch-up time, like you're starting to shoot at a higher tempo, and maybe the makes don't come right away. And I think now what we're seeing is the makes starting to catch up to the work she's done to get ready. And that's opened up more driving lanes too, as people have to close out hard to her.
Great. Thank you so much.
Sure thing.
Tyler?
Eric, quick question about Tina. Do you guys anticipate she'll be a full go for Minnesota, or is she going to be restricted at all?
I think I haven't heard talk of a particular restriction. I think she's pretty smart about how her body feels, and I think she'll probably let us know what she obviously hasn't had game conditioning for a little while, so I don't know that we'll be. I don't know. I don't want to make any predict. I don't want to say we won't play her 34 minutes and then we play double overtime or something. But I think we'll just have to be smart. We know she's not 22 years old anymore. She hasn't played a game now in a couple weeks. So, but I have not heard any specific restrictions. I think it'll just be more between her and coach, just talking through the game and seeing how she feels.
Gotcha. And then with some of the lulls that the offense has had at times, for a long time, we were talking about coming out of the second half kind of dull. And then a couple of games ago was the first half. How much has you guys trying to make sure that you don't have those hiccups and those slow starts out of half affected maybe your preparation? Just making sure that you guys are doing everything you can to be efficient, but you also still need to focus on the other team. Has there been a dip at all in focusing on the other team at this point in the season?
No, I don't think so. I think, there's a couple things we've tried to do in practice, like, well, I say practice in air quotes, because we haven't had like that many all out practices, but, like a lot of coaches do 5-on-0 and stuff like that. We've had to try to put some defense on just to start making some more reads of how we're being played. Cause it's one thing to talk about it and try to visualize it. And then there's another thing to be able to get some reps doing it against defense, even if it's not all out full speed. I don't think it's taken. I think our defense has been pretty solid. I know we've given up some high shooting percentages, even in the Dallas game, but we forced a ton of turnovers. Connecticut, I thought we did some stuff well. They just had such a physical advantage with their two post players. So that hurt us. I don't know. Looking back, we could have maybe done a couple things differently, but I don't think it's affecting our preparation. I think probably just more having healthy bodies every day and being able to go through some stuff on the court is probably our biggest challenge.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Jen, did you have another question quickly?
Yeah,
we
if we
have
have
some
time for just one more.
Just very
for me to
quickly,
jump in.
please.
Sure. Eric, just going back to Shatori for a second. You mentioned, that defensive focus that she brings. Is that, when she was drafted, did she come in with that same focus, or how would you describe her game when you guys first got her?
We certainly thought she was capable. I think, young players, it's always a struggle to learn the league, learn, not only what like our coverages are, but I'm playing against this player tonight. And this is what, within our defensive scheme, this is still what they're going to try to do. And I think, just as you get a few years in, she's probably got like a better book on people, so to speak. Like she's got more experience playing against the different players in the league. She watches a lot of film. She's always watching games and asking questions. I think it's just a different mentality where maybe you're not getting, you're missing shots and you get frustrated and it takes away from your defense. I don't see that happening with her now. I see somebody that can just, keep that front of mind. Like every time down the floor, I'm going to try to have a good defensive possession.
Great, thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's it. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate your time.